Good evening. And good evening to everyone who has joined us on the internet, or should I say good morning, or good afternoon. It's helpful sometimes to realize that something as definite as evening seems to you to be is only it's only a local perception. And so those who are joining us from Australia are in the early part of their day. And those who are joining us from Europe are up very early. It's about 20 minutes of 5 in the morning there. So remember that what seems so definite to you and so real, and something you tend to govern your feelings according to, are local perceptions. They're not absolute. It gives you a little bit of a hint that you might really be in eternity, in a timeless moment, and that your very definite sense of what time it is pure illusion. Meaning that it isn't something that can actually govern you. I know, it's evening, you've had a long day, and you're tired. But are you tired because it's evening? Or are you tired because you've given the definition and you are governing yourselves accordingly and feeling tired, like it's time to relax? But if it's an instant of eternity, if I may put it that way, then this moment is as fresh as dawn, and it holds the promise of the newness of creation. And if that was the definition you were giving to it, you would be surprised to find out how fresh and alert and eager you would be at this very instant, regardless of what has happened in the last 8 hours. So don't be so sure about everything, because it will confine you to whatever meanings you've given to the definitions. So, as they say in Australia, good day. Okay. We were set to begin on page 27 in the second edition, and page 23 in the first edition. But you know what? This section is out of sequence. It doesn't come next. And its full meaning will not be as apparent to you if we read it now. So we will continue with the next part that I actually dictated to Helen, which is the next section, section 6, Fear and Conflict, which appears on page 28 in the second edition and page 24 in the first edition. And I will come back to this section that we have passed over at the appropriate time, where its fullest meaning will have been developed. So, we will start here.
Fear and conflict. Being afraid seems to be involuntary. something beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary.
Isn't that interesting? That sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? How can constructive acts be involuntary? Constructive acts are something you usually engage in on purpose, which means it isn't involuntary. It makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Or at least wonder. And actually wondering is a habit you should get into more than the habit of thinking you employ, because to stand in wonder is similar to standing in awe. To stand in wonder is to be a question mark, is to be attentive without knowing what you're being attentive to. It is an acknowledgement that you don't know something, but you want to know what the something is. So there is a curiosity. And when you do not introduce answers to the curiosity you have, then the meaning of what you don't yet know about will infill you. And you will be surprised. And you will have learned. And you will have grown. And you will have changed. And when that infilling occurs, you know what to do. And you find yourself doing it because there's just nothing else to do. But it isn't by design that you do it. It isn't something you intended to do. But when the influx of knowing occurred, you found intent accompanying it that made it utterly clear what to do and how to do it, so that it was easy to be in the flow of the action, of the movement of God. Continue.
My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you so choose.
If you read that slowly, and if you're in a cynical frame of mind, the statement, my control can take over everything that does not matter, you might stop reading the sentence and say, well then why in the hell haven't you taken control better? Because my life is the pits, what's going on in the world is the pits. Your control can take over everything that does not matter? And I'm supposed to think that you have power? And I am supposed to have faith in you? Well, then you might read the next part. While my guidance can direct everything that does. And then you come to the last four words, which are the key words. If you so choose. My control can take over everything that does not matter, and my guidance can direct everything that does if, and it's a big if, or it's a little if you are willing to yield up control. If you are willing to abandon autonomy. If you are willing to devalue your own personal authority. And only use enough of that so-called authority to say to me, I choose to let you guide me. I choose to yield to your guidance. I choose to act upon the influx of clarity that will come when I stop insisting on asserting an authority that I think I have. It's utterly simple. To the ego, it seems to cost a lot. But you know what? You're not your egos. Your egos are just a picture that you have adopted. But you aren't the picture you've adopted. You are that which has adopted the picture. And the you that has adopted the picture is still the son or daughter of God, still the direct expression of God in this very moment. It's the you that has the real ear right in the middle of the kingdom of heaven, hearing me right in the middle of the kingdom of heaven, speaking to you, even though what you're hearing is getting translated into the dream you're currently dreaming. Continue.
May I ask a question? Thank you. I'm interested in hearing a definition of what does not matter and what does matter. In that, who it matters or doesn't matter to who? To me, or to the universe, or the Holy Spirit, or... When I read this the first time, I thought, I would rather have his guidance or his control take over everything that does matter, so I can't mess it up. And that everything that I think that matters really doesn't matter, because I'm thinking through my ego, which considers things important that really aren't, the transitory things, and that I can get guidance on that as far as how to loose myself from them.
Indeed. You're partly right. Everything that you think is what doesn't matter. And I can take care of that. All the definitions that you have given to everything that have biased your perception of what it truly is, I can take care of. If you so choose, exactly.
So it's either or. In other words...
First of all, what does matter is creation itself. What does matter is what is really going on. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you so choose. When you have listened for guidance and gotten it, don't you often say, well, my guidance said it's appropriate to do such and such? Now listen to me using those words. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does. What do you think my guidance is? My guidance is what the Father is saying to me. You see? And my Father can direct everything that does matter. And my guidance to you when you are listening to me is the guidance I'm relaying to you from the Father.
Whether I think it matters or not, because I don't have a clear picture as to what matters and what doesn't matter.
Except that usually when you are asking, you think you do know what matters. And I'm not singling you out, this is true of every one of you. You have your back to the altar, okay? Which means you are choosing to look at everything from your own private, separate perspective. And then, many times, you call out to God for help in understanding how to deal with what you're seeing without turning toward the altar. So you are asking for guidance that is relevant to the distorted way in which you're perceiving the kingdom of heaven. And you expect the answer to be relevant to the definitions you have given to everything. In other words, you are asking for guidance to address and adjust and correct your misperceptions while you insist on continuing to stand in a position that doesn't allow you to see what's really going on. You ask for what really doesn't matter to be fixed and still be what doesn't really matter, you see? And so very often when you listen for guidance, the answers you get seem not to relate. Because you want the answer to fit the current definitions you're using to determine the meaning of everything. You see, that's a misuse of prayer. It's not really prayer. Because prayer involves saying, Father, in spite of how things appear to me, in spite of how dire they seem, I want to know the truth. I want to know what's real. Separate and apart from my best judgments, my best definitions. I want an answer that goes beyond my definitions. I want to be infilled with what does matter so that I can distinguish between what does matter and what doesn't matter and let go of what doesn't matter. And so I will not require you, God, to conform your answer to the lens through which I've chosen to look at everything. I want you to help me take off the glasses. But in order to do that, you truly have to be willing to abandon the way you're currently seeing things, the meanings you're currently giving to them, and the righteous commitment that you have made to the way you are seeing things. And that requires humility.
So in these two phrases, whose perspective is it, when they talk about does not matter or does matter, is it the Father's perspective, or is it my ego's perspective?
Oh, it's the Father's perspective.
Okay. Okay.
Even though, from the ego's perspective, it matters a lot.
Yes, I see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Continue.
Fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Fear prevents me from giving you my control.
Now, just to be clear, it means your fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Your fear prevents me from giving you my control. Continue.
That makes a lot of difference when you put the "you" in front of it.
Yes. Your fear preoccupies you and causes you to refrain from listening. Or it is overwhelming enough that you expect my response to treat the fear as though it's real and correct the supposed cause of the fear, rather than doing what will cause you to choose for your peace in spite of the fear and its apparent cause. Continue.
The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind.
And let me just say one thing. If your body could be anesthetized and you could still be conscious, you would be incapable of having the experience of fear. Fear is a body sensation. Mentally, you determine what is fearful for you. And when those things which meet the criteria of your definition occur, your body tenses up, anxiety in the pit of your stomach. You say that you become afraid then, and you have, in effect, let your body lead you, tell you what you are feeling. Continue.
Isn't the body just the ego's proof of separation and aloneness?
Yes, but it's also God's proof of His presence.
But if it's fear that's present, then it's from the ego.
Exactly, of course.
This removes them from my control and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels.
I spoke last week about how you carelessly characterize the body as being able to act on its own. Oh, my body isn't cooperating with me today. I'm all thumbs. When you believe that, then you have lost sight of the fact that the body is simply rendering visible to you your current beliefs. If you recognized that your body was reflecting back to you your current beliefs, you wouldn't say, my body isn't cooperating with me today. You might say, boy, I'm really handling my body poorly. And there's a big difference there. Because if you recognize that you're the one handling your body, then you can handle it in a new way. You're empowered because you haven't lost sight of the source of the authority for what the body is doing. So, when you believe that your body is generating the experience of fear because there is something fearful, and you don't realize that it's a choice you are making that you can make again a different way, it removes the correction of the fear from my control, as well as yours, you see, and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels. The difference, the levels being mind and matter, or mind and that which renders visible and tangible that which mind, God, is being. When you think that cause lies in the manifestation, you are confused. And it's level confusion. That's what that means. Continue. Oh.
My biggest discomfort has come from mental anguish as opposed to physical anguish. And then the other thing that comes up for me is somebody like Christopher Reeves, who has no sensation from the neck down, still can be fearful. Do you see what I mean? In other words, his body is in effect anesthetized because he has no bodily sensations because of his spinal cord injury. So I'm having some confusion here because if I compare the amount of, and perhaps I've been fortunate, but the amount of physical anguish that I've felt from a testy situation or whatnot, I mean, I'll be sitting in a chair and my ego's really got a hold of me and it's all in my head and it's the worst that I experience as far as being in quote-unquote hell is concerned.
Let's simplify this. Any anguish you are feeling is anguish about something going on in the world of form.
Yes, that's true.
As though there were a world of form functioning on its own. Independent of divine order and divine love and God. So you are having confusion about form,
So when it
which
speaks,
ultimately is whether you call it your body or the body of somebody across the room or the tree out the door, it's all your body.
So when it talks about the bodily level, it's talking about the material level.
It is talking about the visibility and the tangibility of the kingdom of heaven that you have determined to be a world and universe existing separate and apart from God, caused by physical dynamics, the Big Bang, etc.
That I have to be defended against.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
I think this is getting to be clear to me now. The choice, if you so choose, is going on in my mind. The body, the physical world, that's the part you can take control of if I let go of that part.
That's the part that God is already in control of.
Exactly. That's the part in the first part up here that says my control can take over everything that does not matter. That's what that's talking about.
No, it is talking about all of the definitions and meanings you have applied to what does matter, which is reality.
Right. It's good. The part that's really going on is okay, and the part that I've made up, that's the part you can take control over.
That is correct.
And the choice is going on in my mind, and the problem is